Yo, guys, what's going on? Lucky G7 is back again to give you guys another live stream discussion slash review on Eden Zero, chapter 257. And I gotta say, this chapter is important for a number of reasons. One, as the last chapter of Volume 29. Key thing to keep in mind about this is if you look back at volume 28, that volume ended at chapter 248. And then 27 ended off on chapter 239. Yeah, 239. And then on 239, and then yeah. Actually, hold up. Let me do my math calculator script because I'm like 95% accurate about this. So if we look at the past volumes, and I'd rather get this out of the way now than deal with it later. So yeah, 28 ends off on chapter 248, 27 ends on 239, and then 26 ends on chapter 230. So we're going par for the course here with the volumes. And this again is the finale of volume 29. Crazy to think about actually. So 257, this would be 29. And remember what Hero said in his interview, going on, not his interview, but his afterwards, going all the way back to volume 3. He did say in the afterwards that Eden Zero is probably going to be a little bit longer than Rave, but it's not going to be as long as Fairy Tale. So, if I have to take a guess on how much content we still have left, let me think. So, 266 would be the end of volume 30. 275 would be the end of 31. 284 would be the end of 32. 30 would be 266. 31 would be 275. 32 would be 284. And 33 would be like 293. So, if we're going by what Hero said, 34 more than likely will probably be the last volume, which would probably make that around like 400, no, not 400, 302 chapters. So, in my opinion, if we're really, really looking at it, Eden Zero probably has about, let's say 5. Like 5 volumes at the very least. Now, is that enough content to wrap everything up? It honestly really depends on Hero. That's the best thing I can say. It really depends on how far we're getting. And I'll delve a little bit more into this towards the end of the live stream because I know y'all really want to hear my thoughts on the chapter. And given the fact that we're like almost 4 minutes in, I might as well do that. So, chapter 257 is titled Leonard. When I first read the chapter Leonard, I was like, I wonder if there's some connection to Leonard. Because the Leonard arc, was crazy. So I was like, Leonard, Lendard? I'm like, it's a bit of a stretch, but I was like, okay, I kind of wonder what it was going to be. But you see, essentially, Witch, bunny outfit, in a very chibi-fied bunny outfit. And you see, like, cards, you see the Ace of Spades, um, the second heart, 7 hearts. I kind of have to wonder sometimes when Hero is doing these. Like most of the time, he is doing this for fun, but there are like rare cases where it's like, yo, Hero, like, what is the symbolism behind some of this stuff? Because you go back to Heroes, I want to say one of the chapter covers had like Lucia, you had Zeref, and you had Ziggy. And for a lot of people, it was like, yo, what is Ziggy doing right next to these two? Like, he ain't no villain. And, come volume 12, chapter 101, I think? Yeah, 101. Chapter 101, like, it's like, oh, yo, like, I'm here. What's going on? It's like, okay. Like, shit really hit the fan there. So, it's kind of one of those things where I can kind of take into account with Eden Zero these days. But, given that, moving past the cover page, we see Pino still knocked out, in bed. You have Shiki there, hanging their Pino, and Rebecca's there too. It's like, what's wrong? What could have happened to her? And Ivory says, I don't know. I'm not finding anything wrong with her systems. And Happy's like, is she out of ether? No, it's not that. Ether. And then she looks over at Moscow, like, hey, Moscow, get the recipe to, I'm gonna butcher this name. It's, Reso Pinatal. Resopinatal. Yeah, let's go with that. Resopinatal. Moss. The synthetic android energy and load my diagnostic tools on the subnet. Moss! And then you have Shiki, Pino, and then of course you got like the emergency systems going off. Like, wait, what is this? And you have Witch. Witch says, emergency alert. I'm picking up enormous numbers of heat sources at 6 o'clock. All hands prepare for battle. And you get Laguna, who's like enemies. And Jin's like, oh no, not the Eden's one. And then you get Clean just saying, that's like, dude, this double page spread says so much. Like, you got the freaking dragons. And when I saw the dragons, I knew there was one person that came to mind as to what this was going to be. And you have Valkyrie there going like a swarm of dragons. And come more like Tis God Act Noella. And yeah, God Act Noella is there. And she's like commanding the dragon there. And they're like, oh, yes, we here. I'm here. Obviously, she has no idea what happened in Universe 3, but given the consequences of Universe 3, she got taken out. And I'm not going to say that she's not going to get taken out here, because obviously she's going to, but this is definitely going to be an interesting battle, to say the least. Because, like, this is straight up Act Noella just by herself. Because she's here, like, she's ready to take on the crew. Then you get Hermit, and Hermit's like, how did she get to this cosmos? And Weisz is like, don't tell me she followed us. And Hermit says she couldn't have. I put up so many layers of defenses. And Act Noella just says, never underestimate a dragon's sense of smell. Now, my children, time for the hunt. And she's like going through, she's sending the dragons, and they're attacking the Eden Zero. It's like, it didn't work. I forgot. The only way to defeat Act Noella's dragons is with special anti-dragon ether. That's what Hermit says. And Jin's like, well then, you get to configuring that ether. And Laguna says, we'll buy you some time. And she says, I'm going to take care of Pino, is what Rebecca says. So they're going out, they're facing the dragons. They're kind of doing a number. And the dragons are like really tearing through the ship. And like Witch is feeling this. She's like, with so many dragons attacking from all angles, and Valkyrie says, we have to beat Act Noella, right? And she's like, Valkyrie, I'll handle this. So Valkyrie like shoots out of the ship and goes through with this. She's like, all right, we're gonna do this right here, right now. But when this whole thing goes down, Brigadine shows up. And here's the thing. If Brigadine is here, you know for damn sure Void is somewhere like in the vicinity. That's the thing. If he's here, then there's a 100% chance that Void, Wizard, Joker, and Killer, you know for a fact, they're in the vicinity somewhere. Because Valkyrie notices this, Brigadine's there. He's like, what? And he's like, you must be Valkyrie. I am Brigadine, one of the four Dark Stars, the upgraded version of you. And she's like, oh, okay. And then you see like this encounter go through, the headbutt, and like, yo, Brigadine is like doing a number on Valkyrie. Like, it is nuts. Hermor is like, teacher. And it's like, he just, now we fight, is what Brigadine says. And then Rebecca's like, the four Dark Stars? And she's like, which means the Eden's one isn't far behind. And they had to attack at the same time at the Dragon Horn. This is not good. No, as the Dragon Horn. This is not good, is what Hermit says. And as this is going down, she's like, well, what? And Weisz is like, oh, Hermit, what's wrong? I'm detecting abnormal electromagnetic radiation aboard, is what Ivry says. And Moscow says, what the Moscow is happening? And Ivory's not Ivory, which is like intruders, like question mark, like wait, what? And you see the hatch open up, and she's like, the ship's bulkheads are closing. Oh no, it's not opening; it's like closing. Yeah, it's like closing shut. She's like, wait, the bulkheads are closing by themselves. Have has our systems been hacked? And as that's going down, like you notice something catch your attention, and you see Wizard, and Wizard's like, which regret I pursue. And she's like, who are you? And he just does one thing. I will destroy you. And just like last week's chapter, we go back in time 20,000 years in the past. Like, this is no coincidence. I'm going to say that right now. This is no coincidence. Because, and I said this before too, if you go back to volume 23, yeah, it's volume 23. If you go back to volume 23, at the tail end of that volume, I think the last few chapters, if I remember correctly, you get like little inklings of, 20,000 years in the future. And the fact that we're getting it here again, like, legitimately, like, for like the final like not the final volume, the final chapter of volume 29. Like, come on. Like, it's not a coincidence that this stuff's like not again, it's not the same thing because one's in the future, one's in the past. So obviously it's kind of a big deal. But you're seeing this, and I'm assuming this is Hawaii. At the very least, you can tell by the tropical trees and everything. It kind of gives off like that Hawaiian vibe. But you see this, and you see Valkyrie there, and Brigadine's there too. So it's like, the hell? And he's like, was that Regret on the phone? And she's like, oh yeah, she's visiting Ivory in the hospital. And you see this, and she says, I hope she gets well soon. And he's like, who's that guy? And this isn't something I would say is a huge surprise because it has been a speculation that the fan base has had for a while, ever since the fight between a Wizard and Shiki back on Lindard. But basically, Wizard Leonard, as we get his name here, is Regret's fiance, which, again, not exactly a huge shock that it's like, oh, they're an item, because again, it was kind of teased that they had some kind of connection when she was able to, like feel like that spark, if you will, between you know witch and wizard from their past, and then similarly, you kind of get something like that with Killer and Hermit, and then now we're seeing that there's something between Valkyrie and Brigadine. So, like, it is tragic. I'm gonna say that because whatever happens here, like, it makes me curious. Let me just say that it makes me really, really curious. Like, with where everything's going, like the content itself. Like, I'm still like just sitting here thinking, like, whoa, hold up, this is interesting. This is really, really good stuff. And again, the dragons are here. Like, Hero's not wasting any time whatsoever. Like, we get to this new cosmos. Off the gate, Act Noel is here. You have the swarm of dragons doing a number on the Eden Zero. And at the same time, Valkyrie goes out there. She was gonna handle the dragons. And Brigadine shows up. Likewise, you have Wizard popping up behind Witch. So it's like, okay, like now we know for a fact that Void is like not that far behind. So it's a huge concern. Let me just say that right now. This is a really, really huge concern that we're here. And again, we're still in uncharted territory. And I do have to wonder, like honestly speaking, I do have to wonder if whatever outcome we find out occurred to the shining stars and now with the dark stars, like we knew that the dark stars and the shining stars had a connection. But now that we know, like, okay, witch and wizard were an item, and Ivory and Joker, I want to say, like, it was more so like, okay, he was the doctor of Ivory, and Hermit and Kill. I think it was Killer. Let me double check on the Dark Stars because I don't want to mess them up. Okay, so you got the Dark Stars, Brigadine, Wizard. Yeah, okay, Clown. My bad, not Joker. Clown. So Clown and what's it called? Ivory had a connection. That he was her caretaker, and now we know Hermit and Killer had a connection. So it is definitely going to be something tragic for sure. I am curious though. Like I really, really am curious. Like what it is that a hero has in store for us. And something tells me that whatever outcome we get from their past, it will shape what happens in their future. But at the same time, I feel like it's gonna lead to the downfall, not of just the dark stars, but the downfall of the shining stars. And I feel like with both, like that's when Void's gonna make his move. Like it's gonna be like Void's gonna do something, in my opinion, that's gonna like shake the crew once again. Except this time it's gonna be worse. Because I don't think you're just gonna lose Regret. I don't think you're gonna lose Valkyrie. I think it's gonna be far worse. You're gonna lose all four shining stars and you're gonna lose all four dark stars. That's my best bet because here's the thing: unlike with Ziggy, I don't think Void gives two shits. let me make that clear. I don't think Void gives two shits, and I don't know. Like it's like I've been saying for the past couple weeks. We are in uncharted territory, and like the intensity, the suspense that Eden Zero, that a lot of people felt like was missing since we've entered Universe Zero, like that's here now, and I'm curious. I'm like really, really curious with where we're gonna go, where Hero's gonna take us. And overall, my thoughts on this chapter, especially for a volume closer, this was without a doubt amazing plus. And the only reason why I'm giving it amazing plus and not a pure perfection is because I feel like we could have done a little bit more on the 20,000 years ago. I think maybe one more little scene would have been cool, but the way we ended off, I think was like, okay, we're still getting like little breadcrumbs, but we're getting enough to point where it's like, okay, we're still learning things, and Hero's been having this in his bag for a while. If we're talking about like twists and turns, backstories, and everything within the lore, like we're now getting this, and it's gonna be insane to know what's in store for us. And I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait to see what Hero has in mind for like the story, for the characters, for Void. Um, yeah. But with that being said, you guys, that's pretty much all I gotta say when it comes to this live stream discussion slash review on Eden Zero Chapter 257. Let me know what you guys' thoughts were on the chapter. What was your favorite part about it? And aside from the guys, that's pretty much it. I'm Lucky G7. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more Eden Zero, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.